What's going on, everyone? I think I'm live. This is always the time when we hit go live, but then I don't know if we're actually live because there's a delay, but it looks like we're live. So hey everyone, welcome to another Rokoko Office Hours. I'm Sam Lazarus, creative director for Rokoko. Hello Sasha, hello True Bones, and today we are going to be playing around a lot with the Smartgloves. So yeah, we're going to have a bunch of fun with Smartgloves. It's going to be great. And what's going on, Reality Jump? And yeah, and the reason kind of we're going to focus on Smartgloves today and kind of go through one workflow. We're going to be in Unreal Engine, back to Unreal. We'll get into Unity at some point in the future when I learn Unity. But we're going to jump into Unreal. I've got a free project file in the description. You can download it. We're going to be setting up Twin Blast, which is a character I've used before. It's a Paragon character, which is a set of characters that Unreal has given out for free. So we can give you this project file for free. You can use it for whatever. Use the, and it's already set up. And you know what? Let's open up that project file. And what we're going to do today is actually, before we jump in the suit, because we're going to jump in the suit, we are going to set up this project file from scratch, which really isn't that tough. Hello, Frostbite. And then we're going to just play around and make some good, try to fix some problems that you might run into with hand motion capture, right? Hand and finger motion capture. So let me make myself tall and thin. Hey. No. Can't crop? You don't want to crop that way? Very bizarre. Okay. I guess I'm big and wide. But yeah, let's open up this project file. So yeah, if you go to the description, there's a free project file in there. Again, feel free to download it, do whatever you want with it. It's free. It's only Epic. It's an Epic asset. So anyone can use it. You can use it for commercial stuff as long as you're in Unreal Engine. You can use it for whatever. But mostly it's just set up in order to, just play around and have something that's ready to go for hand and finger or body motion capture, because we're going to be throwing on the suit too. Great question, Lithu. When will the live streaming plugin be updated for 5.2 and 5.3? Because this is a 5.1 project file. Because the plugin has not been updated to the newest versions yet. They're working on it. I don't have a date for you, but it's of a high priority, especially because 5.3 just dropped, kind of gave us a kick in the pants. So we are definitely working on it. Hopefully it'll be here soon. In the meantime, it is possible, because you can't use the new Metahumans with 5.2 or with 5.1. You have to use 5. Or no, you can't download like the new Metahumans into 5.1. I think from Quixel, you have to do it into 5.2, but then you could open up the project file in 5.1, and so you can do it. But yeah, it should be coming soon. Good question. We want to update those plugins. But yeah, let's open up this project file. And again, this is what we're going to be just making. It's nothing that fancy, but it will go through the process of how to set up a character for live streaming motion capture. And more than that, the reason we're going to set up a character and live stream some mocap is we're going to try and troubleshoot some problems that people can run into with hand and glove motion capture. And the reason we're doing this week is because we put out a couple fun new videos showing the coil in action a little bit more, and more coming. But there were a lot of comments about the hand mocap looking really weird and kinked. I mean, my fingers looked weird in, a little bit, and people were commenting a lot on how weird and bad the mocap looked. And we're going to talk about why that happened and why it doesn't really matter. It does matter in that it is important that the visual feedback within Rokoko Studio is accurate, because you want to see accurate visual feedback. At the same time, we'll get into, people's people's hands are so different that it is. It's not, doesn't surprise me a ton when there is kinking and stuff in Rokoko Studio, but it really it doesn't mean the mocap is bad, because the rotational data is still fine, and so we'll talk about all this because I have thoughts, but again, we are working on making sure that the visual feedback is correct in Studio. But yeah, so here's the project file. I mean, super basic, right? It's just the character, but I did set it up with the blueprint. Oh, question. When we get, sorry, does the Coil Pro, improve body accuracy? Sorry, Enigma. The coil won't track. Yes, Frostbite, got it. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we've released 2 firmware updates in the last 9 months that have vastly improved the body mocap. Even I thought it was good before. Now it's a lot better. The coil will fix global drift for the suit, but it won't make every sensor in the suit into an EMF absolute position sensor. Because we know the position of the hands, it means that we can keep the body from drifting, but that's the global body. It's not each sensor, right? But the coil is still adding a lot because your hands are usually the bits that need to be that absolute position, right? And again, we would love to do everything in EMF, but that would also mean that you would always need to be within the EMF-based bubble, and so there's a reason to have not EMF for every sensor too, I think. What's going on, Air Apparent? Yeah, Smart Suit Pro 3. Yeah, someday. Okay, yeah, it is a cool character model. So this is the Twin Blast model from the Epic Marketplace. It was for that game Paragon that didn't do very well that Epic made, and then decided just to release all the character models, so that's sick. This is a free model. You can use this for commercial projects. You can use it for anything you want. And it also means that we can distribute it for free, as long as you're going to stay in Unreal Engine. So if we let's open up Rokoko Studio, and we're gonna start some live streaming, and then we're gonna rebuild this project from scratch, and then we're gonna jump into the suit at the end of the stream. You're halfway through the stream after we finish the project, and start live streaming and trying to fix hand issues if they appear. Okay, let me open up. What am I on? See, I gotta sign out. Sign back in. So yeah, and we'll get to it in a second, because I want to pull up some examples of kinking fingers in Rokoko Studio and talk about why again it is important that we fix that, but also why, it doesn't mean that your motion capture is bad, because, and we're going to go a little bit deep into inertial motion capture and stuff like that. Yes, penetration filter is coming in the future. Collision filter, physics filter, we are working on that right now. Lethan, have you looked at using a cheaper wired option, using a tether rather than relying on wireless? Yeah, we have looked at that, and but it didn't. It might be something we'll do in the future, but it didn't really. We think it's better to make sure that you can have enough movement. And again, the wireless, like the if you're having accuracy problems or lag or whatever, I always say, you just try to use a dedicated Wi-Fi router, have it in the same room with you, have it on 5G, and you really shouldn't have a lot of accuracy or anything or lag problems. Golly, oof, so hot. I might have to take my beanie off because I'm on the top floor, and it gets hot. It gets hot up in here. Starting up Rokoko Studio. And yeah, let's open up the blueprint. So if we take a little tour of this Unreal project, we've got in the main content level, here's the blueprint for Twin Blast right here. I should just dye my hair red. That is a good idea. Here's the very simple blueprint set up for live streaming. There's no facial animation on these guys because they don't have ARKit blend shapes. But, you know, thankfully for this character, he's got a bunch of different skins and stuff that you can use. And so you can actually hide the face if you want to. Although some of these have physics too, which is really cool. Yeah, Lethan, for sure. I think it would be a great option. Yeah, so that's a good point. I'll bring that up again. Yeah. But yeah, this is the blueprint, you know, very simple. And why are you loading these teams so slow? Come on, what you doing? Did I disconnect? I don't know why this is taking so long. Of course it's taking a long time on stream. It's chosen to act up. It'll pop up in a second. So yeah, as I said, you know, I've got my Wi-Fi router right here off to the side. And that, oh yeah, Alex Wi-Fi 5G, so there that is. Okay, I'm gonna shut this down. I don't know, what are you doing? What are you doing, Rokoko Studio? You're acting up on me? Yeah, and maybe and freedom is like a lot less important if you're standing in a little office. I think part of the reason why we didn't do it is because it might have pulled focus from the primary use cases we see it, which is the wireless, but it would be great to do. Okay, so here's some old Rokoko Studio data that I recorded for the Clint's boss fight contest, which just turned out so fucking amazing. The new Clint contest, I did not finish mine, so it felt really stupid, but because I didn't start it early enough. But here, let's find a little Skeletor Mind Flayer that was my boss. And yeah, let's look up and let's check out this hand. And I bet we're gonna see some weirdness at certain points. Okay, so here I've got, let's try and find a weird moment. Maybe right here. I mean, it doesn't look super weird, but what you can see sometimes is that your pinky finger might be rotated like oddly. Yeah, I mean, this, I think this is probably like not exactly how my hand looks when I'm doing this. I mean, maybe it does. I don't know. That pinky finger is getting down. But regardless, it is possible, and it does happen, and I see this in my own takes and things, that you'll be in Rokoko Studio and you might get an odd looking hand. It might look slightly off, and part of the reason is that everybody's hands specifically are really different. So, you know, mine, for example, and this was found out for us really explicitly when a lead engineer and I finally got together, because he had been designing calibration processes for the hand based on his own hand. And it turned out that, like, my hand is completely different than his. I am not able to straighten my thumb on my right hand. That's as straight as it gets. And you can see there's a definite kink here. Anyway, the point is people's hands can be so different, you know, and people's bodies can be different too. But for hands specifically, I think that's why you can see sometimes it looking a little bit weird in studio. And again, it is important that the visual feedback in studio matches and makes sense to what you're doing in real life so that you can evaluate it in real time and your recordings. Now, that all being said, if this hand looked weird, it really doesn't mean the mocap data is bad. If we can go, let's go back, and I know this might be boring, but I want to talk a little bit about what inertial motion capture is. And this is, I'm sure this is something that most people know already. But inertial motion capture, like ours, we have a suit that's filled with these sensors that have IMUs, inertial measurement units sensors. They measure the inertial movement of the sensors. And what that means is that each sensor knows how it is rotating. but it doesn't know where it is. It has no idea where it is in space. Unlike with the coil, the sensors in the gloves now know where they are in space. But just with the suit, normally, really all mocap is it's rotational data in a joint chain. Now, because it's just rotational data, even if your hand looks kinked in this data, as long as it's still faithfully capturing your movements, even if it like looks not, even if it looks not right, but it is accurately capturing the amount of rotation each bone is doing, your data is safe. And that is what is happening, right? So, and we're going to go through, when we jump in the suit, we're going to intentionally miscalibrate, record some data, and then bring it in and show how if we just fix that offset that we did in the miscalibration, the data is all fine. It's just offset from the original position. So again, I don't know if that really made sense, kind of a ramble, but for inertial motion capture, as long as you are capturing that rotational data accurately, it really does not matter how it looks like when you capture it. And again, it does matter because visual feedback is important, but your mocap is still safe. And it brings us to something that is very important, which is mocap editing. This becomes a different issue when you're talking with live mocap versus recorded mocap. With live mocap, it matters more that this visual feedback is correct in the moment. With recorded motion capture, it matters less because in many cases, mocap editing, if you're using mocap, you have to get used to the idea of mocap editing. That is true for every motion capture system that is out there. It's true for XNs, it's true for Vicon, it's true for every mocap system out there. Mocap editing is an essential part of the process. Now, that doesn't mean you have to edit every clip for every use case. If I'm making an Instagram video where I just need the silhouette of my character and he's being hit with light, it really doesn't matter if there's collision, maybe you don't edit it. But it should happen often enough that you should really get quite comfortable with mocap editing in whatever program you're in. Ryan, sick. I love hearing it. I love hearing that. Get used to mocap editing. Ryan, what program are you in? I'll send you to the right tutorial. Because mocap editing is important. And that's because even if, let's say, and with the coil, I think this is kind of a misconception of the coil too. The coil will give you more accurate motion capture in Rokoko Studio. But if I have the most perfect motion capture in the world, there's no collision, my hands aren't colliding anymore, they're not intersecting, which the coil does, right? Your motion capture is just like perfect. Okay, now you're putting that motion capture on a character whose arms are 6 inches longer than yours. So it does not matter if your motion capture is perfect. It matters more in a live situation, but if you are retargeting your motion capture to a character that has different proportions to you, which is guaranteed every character out there, essentially, you're going to have to do editing. Because that character's proportions are different to yours, which means even if in your motion capture there was no intersection between these hands, well, now you've got a character with arms that are 6 inches longer, so now you're doing this again. Your hands are intersecting, and you're gonna have to do mocap editing. So again, I really nice. Rokoko Studio, Blender, and Unreal Engine. Blender has a fantastic, you can do mocap editing quite easily. Check our channel for retargeting tutorials. Start with a mixed mode character, get comfortable with retargeting. That's how you start. And I'm probably, Ryan, I'm sure you know all this, but that's what I would do. Nice, new laptop. Can I use my Smart Suit Pro V1 with the Coil Pro? Yeah, you can. You can. It's just not going to have a lot of the other advantages of the Smart Suit Pro 2, but you absolutely can. It's still going to get rid of global drift for the Smart Suit Pro 1, which actually, it's probably going to help the Smart Suit Pro 1 more than the Smart Suit Pro 2, because the Smart Suit Pro 2 has a lot of magnetic interference stuff that we've been able to add to the suit, right? That makes it better. It's the newest version. But so the coil will have a more drastic effect, I think, on the global position of the Smart Suit Pro 1. Yeah, animation layers add-on for Blender is key. problem with the Blender plugin. It might not be up to date on 3.4 or 3.5. I gotta check that out. Anyway, point being, mocap editing is a part of mocap life. There is no golden goose solution. The coil doesn't mean you'll never have to do mocap editing again, as long as whenever you are retargeting motion capture to a new character with a new skeleton that has different proportions, guess what? You're gonna have to do mocap editing. So that's why, even if the hands look a little bit kinked in Rokoko Studio, like, I don't care, because I'm gonna have to do a little offset anyway. And also, if it's a consistent issue, I can create the pose, the initial rest pose of my character to be something that accounts for that problem. And again, it shouldn't be a problem. We're working on fixing it in Studio. I think the kinking actually that everyone was complaining about in this case that I'm talking about was just because I was using a dev version of Rokoko Studio. We have all this weird new firmware for Coil Pro. But point is, like, it's not a reason to panic. It's not a reason to think that your mocap is bad. The rotational data is solid, and that's what matters. Okay. So let's jump back into this free project file. So first of all, I'm going to turn on live streaming for Unreal Engine. I'll go through this too from scratch later, but we're set it up to port 14043. Activate it. You can see it's live streaming. Let's just leave it playing in the background. Yep, it's looping. Whenever I'm live streaming, I tend to just shrink my window of Rokoko Studio just because I think it actually helps performance. If we go back into Twin Blast, let's check out this T-pose. So you can see in this T-pose, this is how my hands were arranged to get the best motion capture result for me that had the highest fidelity. You can see here that these fingers are slightly offset. And that is also a function of the model, right? Every single rest pose you create for each model is probably gonna be slightly different. Sometimes when I'm doing my initial poses for models, this character you can see is in a T-pose. But I might actually, when we recreate this, I might change this to be more of a Y pose. And why is that? Why the Y pose? It's because it means we'll get less intersection with the things on the side of his body, right? So for every character, the initial pose, the T-pose, because again, when you're talking about motion capture, getting motion capture onto characters, what's really important is that the character and the motion capture on frame 0 or on the initial pairing moment when they get paired up, they are the same pose. For Rokoko, it's usually going to be a T-pose. We have a hot fix coming to Studio that's going to up the poly limit for imported characters, but it's also going to fix the Unreal Engine export, which is great because you can export in an A pose, but that's currently broken. So that's gonna be fixed. But point being, look at this pose. It looks a little bit off, and that is because this was the pose that gave me the best motion capture. Now, part of that also is like how you do your initial calibration in Rokoko Studio. But point being, you kind of got to roll with the punches on some of this. But if we like, if anyone has any doubt, and this is kind of where I'm kind of going through this as another social proof. Oh, is it? Wait, 14043. What's my Rokoko receiver? 14045. Silly Billy. Studio, there it is. Give me that hand mocap. Give me that cine camera. And look at that gorgeous mocap. Just beautiful hand mocap. And let me if you have this low, you can see my streaming pool is over the limit here in the top left. If you ever need to fix that, r.streaming.pool size, and then add a appropriate number, 4096 for me. Might be different for you, and there's a way to do that globally too to fix that. But look at this. In my opinion, like, I always, this is another thing that, we've been getting a lot of comments that are like, the suit is bad, or the hand mocap is bad. And, you know, I think that our product is certainly not perfect. There are faulty units that go out. People have problems. It's not always user error. But it can be user error. And so when people say, like, the suit is bad, I have the suit and it was bad. Now that is probably on us. At the same time, like, the suit isn't bad. And I always find it funny when people are like, the suit is bad, the glove data is bad. It's like, we have 50 plus hours of live streaming content of the suit not being bad. So it is true that the suit can operate poorly in the wrong conditions, or if the suit has been compromised, which can happen. Maybe we've shipped you a faulty suit. That happens. We have to replace wires. We have to replace things. That's on us. But a lot of the times, I do find that it's maybe the Wi-Fi signal is like bad. The Wi-Fi signal is so important. And just, there is something that, like, the suit is good. So if it is performing poorly for you, either something is wrong with the suit and we need to make that right to fix it for you because we fucked up and we gave you a bad product. That's one possibility. Or you're in a particularly bad environment, which is like a thing. That's true. Like, you can have really bad magnetic interference. There are places the suit won't work. If you're on a sound stage, especially like a concert venue, sometimes I've seen where they have really weird audio equipment running underneath the stage, the suit can, like, not work. And that's just an environment the suit won't work in right now. That's when you pull out Rokoko Vision, or you use one of our other tools, or the Coil, which isn't affected by magnetic interference at all. But either, like, I'm always like, if the suit is working poorly for you, it's not that the suit is bad. It's that we sent you a bad suit, maybe, or something is happening in your environment or in your setup that is making it bad. And so, yeah, sorry for the aside, but I'm just always like, you know, we're going to be here. We're going to test it. We can show it, and there's going to be problems, but we're going to fix them. And this is all live, and the suit isn't bad. Look at this. This looks great. So there's a bunch of questions here that I didn't see. Sorry. No, the link on your website. What do you, there's a problem with Blender plugin. Oh, if you Google Blender Rokoko plugin, it'll come up. Let's just Google it. Let's Google it. Blender Rokoko plugin. So it's in GitHub. You have to download it from GitHub, but this is it. Yeah, it's not 2.8 or higher, because I don't think it works in 3.4 and higher. I think the last, updated for 3.4. 8 months ago. Oh, never mind. I just haven't tried to use it in 3.4 for 8 months. Apparently it's working. So this is where you should be able to get it. Let me, I can't copy it to the page, but this is it. github.com/Rokoko/Rokoko-studio-live-blender. Make sure knuckles are straight when recording. Yeah, I mean, you do, when you're doing your calibration pose, you do want to make sure your hands are flat blades and your thumbs are down. But again, because people's hands are so different, that might still result in a slightly kinked result in Rokoko Studio. But that doesn't mean the rotational data is bad. It just means that the offset rest pose, like, isn't matching exactly. If that makes sense. So it's bad and it needs to be fixed, but it also doesn't mean the mocap is bad. I have Rokoko Smart Thumbs. Very hard to adjust the thumb. Your character also has a problem with the thumb position. So it does slightly, and we will go through how I go about adjusting the thumb. The thumbs, there's also a limitation to what the Smartgloves can do too, right? And we'll also talk about how to properly wear your Smartglove, because there is a right way and a wrong way to wear the Smartglove. But yeah, the thumb can be super tricky. A lot of T-poses, the Mixamo T-pose download, for example, that thumb is all jacked up because it comes in a T-pose and the hand is like this. And so that means the thumb, it looks really weird. The thumb has to be up alongside the hand, kind of. And again, it's kind of a character by character, like playing around. And that's why what I do for when I have characters that I use often, I plan on using in a project or something, I create a clean project file that has that character rigged in a T-pose, ready to go. That's safe, it's clean, I never touch that project file. It's rigged perfectly for that character who might have different thumbs, who might have extra bones. And you're going to have to go around, and I find it's worthwhile to take the time, set up that project file once, then you have a clean version of that character ready to go that I copy every time I want to use that character, and I don't have to redo this every time, right? Because it can be tricky to make sure that the thumbs look good. Now, I actually think this looks really good with the thumbs. I'm not seeing... I mean, let's... And this, again, this might not be fully correct. But that looks pretty good to me. I mean, it's certainly mirroring what's in studio. Now, whether or not that's mirroring what my hand, I mean, it does look like it, in my opinion. But maybe, but if this thumb is bad and you don't like this positioning, it's fixable. It's fixable in that initial rest pose. Oh God, I shut down Studio. Whoops, well, it's fine. We'll open it back up. But here is the pose asset for Twin Blast. And we're gonna go through, we're gonna make all this from scratch. That's what we're about to do. And okay, I don't like where that thumb is. We're gonna go in. Guess what we're gonna do? We're gonna grab that thumb. And I think maybe it could be further up, further in. If you change this initial offset position, it's going to change it for your mocap, right? So these things are fixable. And that's kind of the point I wanted to make, is that a lot of this is about, when you have inertial mocap, so much of it is about matching, because we don't know where the sensors are. The only way that we can get the mocap character to follow what your body is doing is to at one point say, okay, the character is in a straight pose. You get in a straight pose too. And at a certain point when you're both in straight poses, boom, now we know where your hands were, so that we know that when you offset, when the sensors are saying, hey, this arm is moving, the avatar in Rokoko Studio's arm is also moving. And because you started from the same place, it copies what you're doing. Now, let's say you do your calibration differently. And we'll get into this once we jump into the suit. But let's say you do your calibration differently and you do a bad calibration. It's still, all the calibration is doing is making it easier for you to retarget, because it will be easier to retarget and have it look normal and do less editing, right? You want it to look as good as it can out of the box, but it has nothing to do with the data. It has absolutely nothing to do with the data. The data is clean. The data is just rotational data on XYZ, right? And that doesn't matter how the offset looks. That stuff doesn't matter. So the data is going to be clean. And again, I'm going to try and illustrate this point more. And this is stuff that I think a lot of people already know, but it's just something that, yeah, I think is worth talking about and making sure that, trying to clear up misconceptions. Very hard to, yeah, design, it can be hard to adjust the thumb, but again, motion capture, I think we're the easiest system, and it's still tough because it's CG, baby. It's just not plug and play yet. Trying to get there. A warehouse in North America would be nice. Yes, Alberto is right. Alberto, we're fixing the Unreal export finally this month. I think it's mid-September. What date is it? The Unreal export's getting fixed. Yes, it can totally stream pre-recorded clips. This is super important, Frostbite, because of course, with pre-recorded clips, Rokoko lives on pre-recorded clips because the foot contact algorithm that is applied post-recording is such a huge part of inertial motion capture, or at least our inertial motion capture, because again, these sensors don't know where they are, so they can go through the floor or whatever. And if you can do the foot locking cleanup and then stream that into Unreal, if you have to stream into Unreal for some reason, it looks better, right? So that is a nice feature. Anyway, okay, so that's it. We're gonna go through, let's build up this project file from scratch. The last thing I'll do, just to point out that I love, is, you know, it is so cool. Whoa, F5. Crazy. Ooh. Never hit F5, F1. But the thing I love about these Paragon characters is, like, check this shit out. Check, you know, we're gonna switch up the skin. Let's go to this guy. So many of these Paragon characters are so great. I don't know why he went back to that pose, but if we hit play, now, like, he's just got a very nice looking real-time cloth trench coat that just looks so good. Like, you can just, you know, this is so cool. I love having characters that are pre-set up for you with things like cloth physics, and then I don't have to I don't have to mess with them. So there's so many cool skins, and also this workflow should really work for all the Paragon characters out there, right? Some of them are a little bit weirder, but what we're gonna build, it should work for all of them. So let's get into it. Okay, looks really amazing. That's so great to hear, Ryan. Post your shit and tag us, man, because we wanna reshare your stuff. Omar, can you try the suit in Blender? We could try a little Blender, but we're gonna focus on this. We're gonna focus on a little Unreal action first. Design ref, and I want to make, again, you bring up a really good and a really pertinent point that is very true. The thumb is tough, and we hope to do more things to make it easier. So we'll go through how so that's how I would do it, right? If you're having problems with thumb retargeting, you want to make sure that you offset in that initial T-pose, right? And that's why sometimes, like, when I'm initially setting up my character, a lot of it is like, I set up my character in a T-pose. That's how I start. Then I retarget mocap to it, and I'm like, those thumbs look weird, and I don't want to fix those thumbs every time. So instead of the T-pose being like this for my hands, I'm gonna make it like this. I'm gonna offset the thumb. Retarget mocap. How does that look? That was the wrong axis. I need to offset my thumb this way for this character. Retarget some mocap. That looks good. Save. Clean project file that will retarget it perfectly every time. So yeah, you can fix a lot of those issues in the retarget phase, in the post, in after you get going. Okay, again, we are going to open up 5.1 launch, because this is a 5.1 project, because we are live streaming and we don't have the 5.2 or 5.3. Do I have to try a different thumb position on Rokoko Studio? That's another thing that you could try doing, but again, that might be. I like to when I do my calibration, and we'll get there when we finish building the project. We hop in the suit. I do my hands like knife blades, flat as can be. I lie my thumb on the side, down at my sides, and you can do things like, oh, maybe I'll do my calibration with my thumb differently. I find it's better to find a pose that is consistent for you to do in the calibration every time. And that means that every time you're going to get similar results, right? So I wouldn't try messing with the thumbs really in your calibration phase. What I think will be really good is we will be adding pose correction stuff in Rokoko Studio for hands and fingers at some point. Pause. Camera. And so you'll be able to fix a lot of this stuff in Rokoko Studio as we continue to move forward. Okay. Yeah, the UE export is going to be yet fixed. Yeah, I've just been using Mixamo because the Unreal export is fixed. I don't get weird things with the fingers, Alberto. That's interesting. My fingers are fine. It's just the head looks weird and it's not in an A pose, which is a whole other problem. Okay, again, we're creating a new project from scratch. Let's do it. Live video film events. I always turn on ray tracing because why not? We're gonna save it to the desktop because I'm a messy little CG boy. Call it Twin Blast UE51. Create. Yeah, pose correction will be great. Like AI tools getting layered in. Again, we've made so many changes to Rokoko Studio that's going to allow some really interesting stuff when we get into like some text to AI business, and you like have a mocap recording and you're like, do it again, but make this recording have a limp on the left leg. Like, it's gonna, again, we're getting there slowly, but we're getting there. We're moving. Okay, I'm gonna move. Let's do a informal poll. Where the heck should I put my? Maybe I'll put myself up here. Am I gonna block things up here? No, I'll put myself down here. I'll just make myself a little bit smaller. Yeah. There we go. Okay. So we got a brand new Unreal Engine project, 5.1. What's the first thing I'm gonna do? Well, I'm gonna turn on the Rokoko plugin before anything else because it is not on by default. Again, this is Unreal 5.1. The Rokoko plugin is not in 5.2 or 5.3 yet. Coming soon. Turn it on. Agree to experimental features. Hit the restart button. Got to restart it once you turn the plugin on. iClone 8 is good at that. And I want us to get some of the iClone 8 type magic in fixing pose correction because iClone 8 does do a very good version. For my money, Maya is the best mocap editor out there if you want to get deep and you want to do it really, really, really properly, have a ton of control, have an industry standard software. But if you are already bought into iClone and you don't want something that's as in depth, not saying it's not in depth, but Maya I think can get deeper, right? iClone is fantastic at how they handle mocap editing and pose correction. They have a really good tool. We actually have a tutorial out there in iClone 8 and how to do all that. Guess what's happened, Brent? Guess what's happening, Brent? We're up in that poly count for imports to 300K polys. I've already seen a metahuman in Rokoko Studio, which means you're going to be able to pull in that sweet metahuman in a T pose or an A pose. I'm not sure. I think you can pull it in an A pose. And then you can export it out on the metahuman. So that's coming. It's happening. Yeah, but also, Brent, is there going to be some? I've got to jump through a ton of hoops to get it to work. Metahumans, like, also metahumans are still, they're in alpha. They're in early access still. Like, metahumans are not baked. Metahumans broke in 5.2. It meshed to metahuman, fucked up a bunch of stuff that now they're fixed. Like, you will get problems with metahumans. There are a lot of hoops to jump through. I think that's more just kind of the state of metahumans. But yeah, we should make it easier. Hopefully upping the poly count will make it easier. Man, this is going to be such a long tutorial because I keep rambling. Yeah, Brent, I can't wait for that. Hotfix coming in September. 300K polys. Also, Luke Crisante in the chat. He's a G. One of our amazing team members. Very smart fellow. Okay. Let's get into it. We turned on our Rokoko plugin. What's the next step? Well, that is import our free Twin Blast asset. If we go to, and we're online, let's go to the marketplace. It's thinking. It's thinking. It's thinking. It's thinking. Yeah, Mixamo ain't got twist bone. Well, it won't have to be a Mixamo skeleton, Alberto. You can pull it in. I've seen the metahuman in there. I've seen it on our devs. Our dev, One of our devs showed it. It was awesome. So if you go to the marketplace, you type in Paragon. Let me give it a little. This is a pretty well-known thing, but all of these characters were from the game Paragon, which Epic made, and then the game failed, essentially. It was a shooter, arena shooter. And they decided to release all the assets for free, and anyone can use them for anything commercial. You can use them for anything. It's amazing. These are incredible assets. A lot of them have cloth already built in. They're optimized for Unreal Engine. They come with animations even. Forget mocap. You just want a character doing animations. It's like, you can, they're all built for gaming. You can put them in your game and sell the game. Like, these are incredible characters, and you also get all the environments. Channel, because I have some issue with the old version. So, I'm sorry, and I can't read the first thing of your channel. I can't say it, but channel, asking which version of Rokoko Studio do you recommend when using Unity? So do you mean live streaming? Put whether or not you mean live streaming, and I'll tell you. One thing that, again, we are fixing and has been kind of a consistent problem that we've slowly noticed is that screen resolution can kind of slow down Rokoko Studio if it's full screen. So one thing I do whenever I'm live streaming, or if you're seeing lag in your scene, and again, this is something that should not be a thing. We need to fix this, and we're working on it. For live streaming specifically, make your window smaller. Make your window smaller. Also, like, you use, if you're live streaming, I have 2 PCs set up right now. So I have OBS and YouTube, which is eating up the GPU of my laptop, but it's eating up the GPU of my laptop, and it's, oh, come on. My fancy camera it's eating up the GPU of my laptop instead of eating up the GPU of my Unreal Engine. And if anyone's seen these streams before, Kanzaki, thank you, Kanzaki channel. It just the OBS, the live streaming, all together on one computer, it can eat up your GPU. So the best live streaming, you have a potato computer running the stream, but then your nice computer is focused solely on your motion capture and your Unreal. That's not to say you can't do it. It's just that can be a limitation that you run into on the computer side, on the GPU side. If you're using a 1080 Ti, you're going to have problems if you're trying to live stream and you're trying to use Rokoko Studio and you're trying to use Unreal Engine, right? But one thing, oh, smart, Brent. But one thing, that's a great idea, Alberto. I'll bring that up. That's a good idea. But anyway, one thing is you can just make make the window smaller on your screen. Like, do this for Rokoko Studio. We're fixing it. Oh, I can only fix so many things at a time. Okay, but yeah, we're going to grab Twin Blast. Although we could do another character, but I just love Twin Blast. I think he's really cool. And add to project. And Twin Blast UE 5.1. Add to project, right? So you would have, I've already got this downloaded, but you would have to go download it, and then you just add it to your project. Again, it's free. And as soon as we add to project, it's still thinking, so we're going to let it think before we start clicking on things. But you can see it's already added this folder, Paragon Twin Blast. And as soon as it's done adding it to the project, we can get in there, build a quick blueprint for Rokoko Studio live streaming, and then talk about, again, how we're going to modify the T-pose to have the best hand motion capture that we want, right? Valentine, I'm happy that we can help. That's the goal here. That's what we try and do on this channel. 3080, so yeah. I would make honestly, it might be that bug with Rokoko Studio. It's just it takes a hit on a 4K screen, especially if your monitor is a 4K monitor, which it probably is. Make Studio smaller, which is such a silly thing and shouldn't be a thing, and I will apologize for that right now. It's something that kind of has come to our attention in the last couple months, and we're fixing it. So this is a great question from Brent as we go back in, and I'll just answer this quickly. Wondering how much better the coil will be to improve accuracy. So the coil it will improve hand accuracy for sure. If you need super accurate hands and you want to do less mocap editing, like, the coil is great. That being said, I see the coil as it's certainly an add-on, right? It's not necessary for your getting good Rokoko mocap, especially in the suit. The suit is fucking awesome as it is. So I would start with the suit and gloves. I bet that's going to fit your needs. The coil is like, if you have the money and you're like, I want to make my suit better, like, the coil will make the suit better because it will make the hands more accurate. It will make them, if you've seen the cursor test, I mean, the hands are accurate to exactly where they are in the space. I think the coil is really interesting if you're like a VTuber and you wanted to just buy gloves and have the coil. Then you could rig up an IK system with a character and drive the whole character via the gloves, because the gloves actually know where they are in space. So the coil is like an add-on. I wouldn't think of it as like, it will make the suit better. Like, it will make the suit more accurate. It will. Do you need that? And not to argue against buying it, you like, buy one. You need it. But also the suit is good. So maybe I'd start with the suit. Okay. So we got Twin Blast in our project here. Nice. See, for live streaming, Kanzaki, that's like, to me, the perfect use case for the coil, because where it really shines, in my opinion, again, because mocap editing is a part of all motion capture in pre-recorded mocap to characters when you're retargeting, it matters less if you have that perfect accuracy. Yes, it will make the process a lot easier if it is more accurate and you have to do less editing, but you will probably have to do some editing anyway. Now, if you are live streaming, it matters that those hands are in the right spot all the time. And that, in my opinion, is one of the places that coil is like a home run, makes sense. It solves that problem. I mean, you can go for an hour and it will be locked into the exact same position. Those hands aren't going anywhere. Live, real time. And that is really what's kind of so exciting about the coil, in my opinion. Not to say that it won't improve all mocap, because it will. It's just, that's like where a use case where it's really going to shine. Whereas the suit will be able to get to the same quality. You're just going to have to do more editing. So it cuts out editing time, or it makes it the perfect real-time machine. Yes, exactly, Kanzaki. That's the perfect. I don't know, Brent. That also could be, I don't know. Sometimes that can be, and I assume you're doing the footlock editing. Yeah, it's really just footlock editing. And if you're getting the kind of the weird Rokoko walk, sometimes I do is I'll make sure I'll let the foot come off the ground earlier than it actually is. So playing around with those footlocks, you can usually get a better walking result. Or changing the way you walk. Also, like wearing shoes, in my opinion. I do a lot of mocap barefoot or in socks, and it changes the way I walk, and it's noticeable. Because I pad, I don't walk when I'm barefoot, because I think my feet are vulnerable, right? AI Angel. I don't know AI Angel. But you can't get face capture with Rokoko. And again, another thing I'll plug. Sorry, Bachi. It's okay. Is our new head cam, which is just fucking awesome. I'm swearing a lot today. I'm sorry, but this thing, incredible. A couple $100 as compared to $600 or $1,200. Lightweight, fits your iPhone, looks cool on the wall. Love this thing. And you can use it with Metahuman Animator. You don't even need to use it with our facial motion capture. Our goal is to be hardware agnostic. We want to work with everyone. As long as you're doing mocap, use one of our products. And use another system. Use it with another system. It's all iPhone based. Yeah, a lot of consumer level facial motion capture is iPhone based. Metahuman Animator is the best one for consumers on the market right now. But it still uses an iPhone. Still need an iPhone. Need that true depth sensor. Okay, I have got to. Tim, I'm not sure. I think soon. I think they're being shipped soon. I don't know when they go out. I think soon. I know they're going. A lot of people are ordering them. If you pre-order, you will get yours earlier, obviously. Okay, let's get back to this long-winded tutorial. I'm just rambling. Paragon. We got our Paragon Twin Blast asset. No. Hold on. First, I gotta turn off this thing. I gotta adjust this setting. Hold on. Insta360. You're a very cool webcam, but you are also drifting when I don't want you to. Auto tracking off. Okay. There we go. Okay, so let's get into this. We got our Twin Blast character. We got our Paragon character. For all Paragon characters, they're going to come in this folder. You're going to have an effects folder and a characters folder. We want the character, so guess where we're going? Characters. Then we're going to go to Heroes. Then we're going to go to Twin Blast. And then we're going to go to Meshes. And here we have our Twin Blast skeletal meshes, skeletons, retarget asset, which doesn't work anymore because of the new retargeting system. But here we have our meshes. Now, when we're building a new blueprint for a character for live streaming, and we don't already have a blueprint for that character, there's no, or there might be a Twin Blast blueprint, but I don't know. I'm going to create a new one. We're going to go to the main skeletal mesh, right-click it, create, and in blueprint. We're going to call this Twin Blast BP. And we got a Twin Blast blueprint. Let's open it up. So, of course, we have an empty blueprint, right? We're in the animation graph, not the event graph. Want to be in the animation graph. And we're going to build the standard Rokoko live streaming blueprint, which is pretty easy. We're going to right click, search Rokoko. Remember, we turned on the Rokoko plugin. Add it. It's wired in. Then we are going to create a couple things. We're going to create two variables. I'm going to name one Rokoko actor name, and I'm going to make it into a name variable, and I'm going to name the other one Rokoko bone map. And for this one, I'm going to make it I'm going to have to search Rokoko body map data, class reference, make it a class reference. We're going to drag both of these into the blueprint, hit get when you drag it in, get, and then we are going to wire these guys into this node. And please, Brent, do not stop bothering me. That is why we are here, to answer questions. Oh. Yes, I do. I've been meaning to do that. Oh man, do I have the where's my, hold on, let me show you just a little metahuman goodness that I gotta show you. Okay, I gotta make this black because I gotta go into my Slack, and I don't want to be given away, and I don't want to dox my fellow employees. Let me download this. Sorry, downloading very slowly. Actually, no, I don't need to download. Hold on. Sorry. But yeah, this is a little Metahuman. This is just playing around. I still really haven't gotten a chance to really... Oh no, wrong one. That's my personal. No, personal. Here it is. So this is a little mysterious Metahuman. But this is Metahuman Animator using Rokoko suit, Rokoko head rig, and it's really not that tough to get up. I mean, it's as tough as it is to get Metahuman Animator up and running, but yeah, and a ton of, as you can see in my you can see I've been rendering in Path Tracer on a 2080, and it takes a very, very long time for me to render these out. But you can see this thumb is messed up because I didn't spend the time to fix it. But anyway, just looking so freaking good. Metahuman Animator, the subtlety in these emotions is just fucking unbelievable. Excuse me. Okay, let's get back into it. Oh yeah, you can have the entire body as Metahuman. That's what it is. That's what that video was. Okay, so we got our Twin Blast BP. We're building it up, and we've wired in these variables. And so now what we need to do is hit compile, save. We're gonna get a bunch of errors. The first thing that we're going to do, and this is a little bit bizarre, there's actually another live streaming workflow we have out there. For some reason, this other way of doing it is working for me right now. I think it's just a Paragon thing or an Unreal 5.1 thing maybe or something. Yeah, no, Metahuman Animator is post-process only. You can use Rokoko facial motion capture for live Metahuman mocap, but it's not as good as Metahuman Animator because Metahuman Animator is using a whole AI neural net to process it and make it look so good. That's why you need to have it be processed, and it takes a long time to process takes, which is unfortunate. So it's not a quick process. But yeah, you're gonna get a bunch of errors when you compile. And then what we're gonna do is under Rokoko actor name, I'm gonna make this Sam, and if I click away, it's gonna remember to hit apply. This worked for me. I don't know why. Sometimes this doesn't work, but with Paragon characters, it seems that you can just do this, which is great, instead of creating the new actor, which is very bizarre. I'm sure Alberto will have something to say about that. But you can see we still have two problems. One of which is we don't have a bone map, and the other is that we're in an A pose. And for us to do live streaming from Rokoko Studio, we need our character to be in a T pose. So the first problem with the bone map, if you go to that link in the description, I'm not going to, but if you go to that link in the description, you will find this bone maps folder. And in this bone maps folder, we have a bone map for Metahumans and for Paragon characters, and I think there's a Mixamo one, and some of them might be out of date, but this should work for Paragon and Metahuman at least. So I'm going to go grab that bone maps folder. Then I'm going to go navigate. Let's view in Explorer. So I navigate to my project in Explorer, go to the content folder, and I'm going to drop in my bone maps. Actually, I'm going to remove my bone maps because I want to see if... Okay, see this? See under bone maps, there's nothing. As soon as we drop in them bone maps and we jump back, oh, it might be weird. Hold on. I'm gonna have to go. Oh, bother. Why that's empty? Hold on. So we will have to go. Okay, hold on. Let's go to the... Let's go grab that folder. Let's make sure I uploaded that folder right. Sorry. Where am I? I need to turn this off again so that I don't dox myself. Hold on, everyone. I'm just gonna go find that bone maps folder. Just loading it up. But it's a G drive folder. It should be in the description. And oh my golly, my internet is slow. Toot using live stream Rokoko plugin, but I should search whole workflow using UE5 sequencer base. If you make, yeah, no, that's what it would be. It's a sequencer. That's how you get that. That was not live. What I just showed. That was a pre-recorded thing. It can only be pre-recorded with Metahuman animators. You have to use a sequencer, and because you have to record the facial animation separately from the body, because remember you're using Unreal Engine's proprietary Metahuman animator for that facial animation. You're not using... So here we got our bone map. So this is it again. That's in that. This is the link in the description below to that bone maps. It's right here. Download that bone maps, and we're gonna put these bone maps in our project, which is right here. Content. Delete this bone maps. Bone maps. We go back to Unreal. Why is this empty? I'm going to restart the project. Shouldn't be empty. Just restarting the project. Oh, so it's there. So sometimes you just gotta, Unreal, God bless you. I don't know. Who knows why? But they weren't showing up. Now they're showing up. So we're gonna go back to our blueprint, remember, which is in meshes. Twin Blast BP. Now these things should show up, and you can just add this bone map, and then you don't have to make a bone map. Yeah, so I got all these Paragon, so this should work for a lot of the humanoid Paragon characters. Hit apply, compile, save. So at this point, we now have a character that will be able to receive Rokoko motion capture, but it will look messed up because it's in an A pose. And if we even go through and do this right now, let's add him. Let's process him. Let's add a Rokoko receiver to the scene. Let's make sure it's 14043. Go back to Rokoko Studio. Turn on live streaming. Let's open up a clip just to test. Back. Oh no, gotta delete player start. God, I hate the player start. Oh, I didn't add Rokoko Studio. Then we gotta go to Window, Virtual Production, Live Link, add Rokoko Studio as a source. Now when we hit play, look at what we got. So we got our mocap, and it looks all crazy. And that is because our motion capture is coming from a T-pose avatar in Rokoko Studio to an A-pose guy in Unreal Engine. And beyond that, let's look, and you can see that we have this low texture streaming issue again. Look at how jacked up this is. And also look at how jacked up these fingers are. Let's r.streaming.pool. Come on, bud. Look at how bad these fingers are. And that is because if we go back and see what this initial pose is, I'm going to turn off live link. But you can see, look at how these fingers on this hand are set up. So this is not a flat T-pose hand, and therefore the fingers are suitably screwed up. So how do we fix this? Well, we need to make this guy into a T-pose. There's a bunch of different ways that you could do that. One of them, which is not the way that I recommend or that we're gonna do, but you can do it this way. This component pose, we can add in modify bone nodes if we wanted to, and we could start picking out bones and modifying them one by one. No, we're not going to do that, but it is one way that you can make adjustments on a case-by-case basis in the blueprint if you want. No, instead, if we go back to that blueprint, we're going to go to the skeleton. God, he looks so good. And we are going to put him in a T-pose here, and then we're going to export out, and then we're going to export a pose asset that we can plug into our blueprint and make him into a T-pose. So what we're going to do, we need to put him in a T-pose. What's the first thing we're going to do? We're going to rotate those arms. Upper arm right, upper arm left, into a T-pose. Look down. You can see that we need to also fix these lower arms. Make the arms straight. I think we want it like that. We could always fix this later if we needed to. I think is that straight or is that back? No, that's straight. So we got straight arms. Now, one other thing that we need to do, obviously, is we need to fix these fingies. And the way that I'm going to do that, in this case, well, there's a couple different ways you could do it. We could go like this, and we could kind of guesstimate it, and that can work, and we can kind of, you know, it, for the ring finger, like, you know, we basically need to make it a flat plane, right? Coming off of we need to make all the fingers like this. Now, you can do it guesstimating it. Well, the way I like to do it is select your finger in the rotations, just zero it out. Zero out all these rotations, and this is going to give you a very clean starting point. They rotate the hands like that sometimes because it looks cooler in a static pose. This does not look cool. Blade hands doesn't look cool. This looks cool. So oftentimes you'll have to fix this on rigs, right? Because we're setting up our character to work with Rokoko Mocap. We're gonna have this clean character that's all ready to go. It needs to have these good fingers, right, set up. What's going on, Kana? I'm not gonna do it for the thumb because I actually like where the thumb is. I think it looks pretty good. I'm not gonna, what will happen? Well, let's zero it out and see. Maybe this will look good. We can always come back and fix it. We'll see what that does. We're gonna go and we're gonna do the same thing for the other side. Basically zero out that initial proximal joint for all the fingers. Index 01. Middle 01. 000. Pinky 01. 000. Ring 01. And thumb, we're doing thumbs, even though I usually don't. And you can see when you zero out the thumb, the other thing is like, this is actually how your characters are supposed to look when you are posing them in a T-pose. This thumb we might have to fix, but I think this is actually right. And when you zero out bones on characters, it will not necessarily always look like this. Sometimes a zeroed out bone will be pointing backwards into the character. Like, this just happens to work for Paragon characters. So that's what I'm doing here. The last thing I do when I'm making a T-pose is I fix the legs too. You want the legs of your character to be straight up and down with the feet pointed forward, the same way we do a calibration pose for the smart suit. You want your legs, your feet under your hips, basically 2 chopsticks right next to each other, like straight up and down. So this isn't, you can see he's kind of turned the leg out. So I'm going to uncheck snapping. And I'm just going to rotate and rotate. And this is going to make us have more accurate feet and leg mocap, right? So up and down. So this is like pretty great for a T-pose. And again, it's harder with some characters than others. With Paragon characters, it's pretty easy to get them right like this. Now we're going to go to create asset, create pose asset, current pose. And then we're going to save this to the content folder, and I'm just not going to call it anything. We're going to hit OK. This is what it is. You can see here if we add in and make the pose have 100% influence, we get up to that T-pose. And you can also notice that it's called pose_0 because it's the first one we've made, which matters, which ends up mattering. We're going to exit out of this. We're going to go back to our blueprint. We're going to go find that pose asset. It's right here. Twin blast skeleton pose asset. Drag it into our blueprint. Right click it. Convert to pose by name. Select it. Under pose name, remember the name of the pose that we're looking for, pose_0. Boom, body, boom. Wire him in to the component pose. And voila, compile. And now we have a character set up in a T-pose, basically ready to go for Rokoko mocap. Now we're going to get in and tweak the fingers a little bit more. Based on what we see once we get in the suit. But this is like a really good starting place for us. Now, the last little thing before we do get into the suit, let's again compile, save, is you can see with this character, we're going to go select our twin blast. I like to use, again, Shadow Ops. Ooh, he looks cool. I love characters without faces if you're not using facial mocap, because I think it can be one of the most disconcerting things. It's very obvious when like you don't have facial mocap. I do a lot of things without facial mocap, and then I like to just have a character that like isn't human or has a mask on, and then it's like I am using facial mocap. Like I can still have him talk, and I don't need to have facial mocap, which I think is always nice, right? If you have, it's really for characters who are talking. It's a nice little hack. But you can see in the Shadow Ops character, we got a couple of these guns that we need to get rid of. And one of the ways that I get rid of things like this is I just make a invisible material. Open it up. It's a normal material. Select the material. Excuse me. Make it translucent. Add a constant. And a constant is just a value between 0 and 1. You can see value, 0. If we wire in this 0 value into the opacity, it's got 0 opacity. Apply. Save. That means that anything now with these guns, you just won't be able to see them once we assign them. So you can see weapons right here in the material layer. If we have Twin Blast selected, drag in my invisible. Oop, no more guns. Drag in my invisible to grenade. No more grenade. And now we have Twin Blast ready to go. Now the physics assets on the guns are still there. So if you're using physics, the guns might still be interacting with things, but we're not. So this is an easy way to do this, and we don't need to mess with the skeletal mesh to get rid of the guns, which would be a whole other thing that we'd have to do. Okay, so now we're ready to basically hop in a suit and play around. So I'm gonna let's get into a suit. Masked, huh? Do we just do this? Still casting a shadow, though. I'm probably doing it wrong. Weird. We're gonna... Oh. We're just gonna stick with this. Okay, let's hop into a suit. My shorts are in the wash, so I'm wearing some sweatpants. But I got a Smart Suit Pro 2 right here. Zip. We're gonna throw it on. Somebody time me. It's always fun to see the process go from 0 to hero. Should take about 60 seconds to hop in one of these suits, which I love because it's very easy compared to some of the other setups, you know, especially maybe AI setups that require quite a lot of space and tripods. No, I'm just joking. I love you, Move AI. We're all good at different stuff. We can all be here together. Got my suit. Let's put it on. Suit on. How long did that take? Not long. Bocce got curious about what's going on. Didn't you? Didn't you? Oh. Zip up. Throw my headband on. Headband, no beanie today. Oh, looking cool. And then we got to throw my smart glovies on. Let's open up Rokoko Studio. Let's make sure we're on the right Wi-Fi network, which is my dedicated Wi-Fi router that I keep specifically for motion capture. And I'm just going to jump in this scene, I think. Oh, and one thing, I was just using this suit with another computer, so we actually need to go in and we need to change the Wi-Fi settings. Right there. Yeah. Plug my suit. Plug my suit in. Oh, I might need to take off my suit to do this. Eek. Hold on. Let's use a different cable. Okay, let's use... Actually, you know what? I'm gonna have to take my suit off. So quick to get in, so quick to get out. It's just easier for me to plug in my suit if it's not on. Because we do gotta plug it in. There's a chance that my suit is like mad at me. Ugh. There we go. And power the suit. This is how you set up the Wi-Fi for your suit, right? Power it, plug it into your computer. Make sure that it's connected to the right Wi-Fi or USB port. Oh shit. Oh no. Cancel. Oh! Why is that set to shut down my computer instead of sleep it? I don't know. Now I gotta... Sorry, everyone. We just shut down my computer. Let's open up the other display. So there's nothing... It's loading back up. Okay, we're gonna load back up. Unbelievable. Valentine. You know, I once you're live streaming for a while though, it's like you know, things happen. It's so expected that something's gonna go frightfully wrong. But it's fine. Look, we're back. Except that I can't... Actually, I guess I can show you startup. It doesn't matter. I don't have anything on there. Don't have anything that's gonna... No addresses on my background, startup background. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Hi. Booting up. Freaking out. Don't know why it's taking so long. Yes, my stream. I know. At least my streaming PC is separate. Yeah, thank God. It's my froggy. Thankfully, we had everything saved. Let's open it right back up. Soda Monte, graced with the presence. What's going on? Good to see you. Welcome. Congratulations on the craziest render challenge yet. Clint, Soda Monte was a mod over at Clint, and really at Clint's Discord, and is a huge part of that team. He's the main part, bigger part of that team than Clint. They just did the new Punisher render challenge boss fight. If you had not seen the results, they are unreal. Some of the ones. The winner used Rokoko, which is cool to see. Yeah, and it was just it was awesome. Man, did it save the no, so we got to go in and we got to redo our blueprint. That's okay. You know what? Things happen. Look, the guns are still there too. What is this? Oh, it's all jacked up. Look at this. It's like... Yeah, I thought that... Yo. So we got to remake our T-pose of this guy. Let's go into studio though, and I want to top 100. Oh man, I can't wait to see that. Yeah, it was crazy. Watched the judging contest from the Punisher contest. It was just so good. Boss fight. It was crazy this time. It's always crazy, but man, some of the entries were. And shall I pull up my entry that I did not finish in time? Or is it just going to make me feel depressed? But I used a bunch of Houdini for it. So sad I didn't. I started the last weekend and went for like 18 hours and then was like, what am I doing? I can't finish this. This is not going to look good. Sure, I'll pull it up. I'll pull it up as an excuse while we're loading. Do I have it in here? Where is it? Boss fight. Oh man, I have a great work. I do all my ragdolls in Houdini now. Sorry for this distraction, everyone. It's such an annoyance that I shut off my computer. Oh man. Let's watch this ad. We gotta watch this. This is, I mean, these contests are my favorite, easily, in the whole render sphere. Let's go to the end when they're just showing everything crazy. Look at these. These are all, so basically they give out a preset project file. This is the winner. I forget, what's their name? I just knew their name, but they're amazing. They've won twice now, 2 of these. Just look at this. It's crazy. This is so AAA. This could be in, yeah. And all of them, all of the top, I mean, this one destroyed me. You know, this is like, it's so intimidating to see. Yeah, Fabrizio. It's so intimidating to see this stuff and try and do something. You gotta power through. You gotta try and submit because everything gets featured eventually. They make a whole video with everything. So it's really cool and it really pushes you. I always end up learning new things. It's great. But look at some of these I mean, it just... Oh. Arrival? I mean, I can't stop watching them. Ugh. Ugh. Ah, we're not gonna do this. Okay, I need to go and we need to try and I want to get to this hand mocap because this has been a long stream already. It's possible also that there's gonna be something. I just redid this suit. I had to get in and fix it. Oh, it's not plugged in, of course. Cool, Sam. Okay, don't turn off the computer this time. There we go. 20 minutes later. We just need to go in and make sure that it's on the right Wi-Fi setup. So I like to go onto my Wi-Fi network. You can see that it's not green. Now this one's green. That means it's right. Apply settings. So just applying settings, actually with just, you pretty much every time you do Wi-Fi, you want to go in and actually search for that network again. Because you could see, I just changed the receiver IP and it didn't actually change. And that's because you need to go and search for the Wi-Fi network each time you change your Wi-Fi settings. That's what I find. I don't think maybe you do every time, but I just think it's a good way to push the suit to find the right thing. So there you go. Selected the right one, even though nothing changed. Apply settings. And it's like, oh, I actually know what Wi-Fi to search for it this time because you actually searched for it in the drop-down window, right? So this should work. Connected via Wi-Fi. Bing, bang, boom. We're ready to go. Let's go into the boss fight scene. Make me all depressed. I'm going to unplug my suit because it's time to put you on. You can see a very weird little guy. Okay. Yeah. There we go. Now we're ready to get going. Boom. Let's throw on our gloves. We're going to talk a little bit about how to wear the smart gloves too. You know what? We're going to do that right now. Okay. So, one thing let's just go through how I like put on my gloves. You know, how I think the proper way to put on a glove. And this is in we have in the onboarding series, we go through this. But if you're using the glove with a suit, the thing to do is roll up the sleeve, put the arm sensor as high up on your arm as you can while it's still on that joint. Doesn't matter where this forearm sensor is on your forearm. It just matters that it's on your forearm because bones don't flex. So as long as it's somewhere on this bone that is not flexing, it doesn't matter where. So I put it higher up. It gives me enough room to put on the glove. Now when I'm putting on the glove, the way I put it on, I keep mine always Velcroed. I don't Velcro it each time, but let's say it was the first time I did it, unvelcroed. I kind of get my hand in there, and then I pull. Not too hard, you know, let's be gentle. It's a piece of equipment. Get it all on. Velcro over so it's nice and tight. And then when you're actually wearing the smart glove, the place that you want all of the sensors to sit is on what's called the medial joint. The medial joint is the second joint of your finger. So this is proximal, medial, distal. Middle, it's the middle joint. So you want, I'm not gonna middle finger you, but you want that sensor not to be sitting on the final joint. You want that sensor to be sitting on the medial joint, the second joint. So we designed the gloves so that they're fingerless, so your little fingers can poke out. And that's because when you're doing actions in the world, it really sucks if you're wearing a full glove and you don't have finger touch, you don't have finger feel. There's so many nerves on these fingers. It's really important for interacting with objects. So that's why the sensors don't sit on the last joint. They sit on the middle joint and give you plenty of room for these fingies to be able to touch things and to be able to use your fingers, right? So it is important to make sure that your sensors are sitting on that second joint if possible. And that's why it's also important to make sure you check out the size guide when you order your gloves. I have incredibly small hands. I mean, that made it sound weird, but I have very small hands. I wear a medium. If you're really petite, you'd wear a small. I'm talking like now we're down in, I'm 5'6". If I'm a 5 foot, very slim woman or child or man, but I see it more with women who generally have smaller hands. Not when it comes to mine, but generally. Then maybe you want a small. And for like 5'10" sized person hands-ish, you probably go large, right? You can always wear a larger set. It just might not be as accurate. You don't want these moving, and you do want them sitting on that middle joint. So I'm going to plug in my gloves before I power on my suit. Yes, you want them sitting on that second joint, on the flat of your second joint. Let's make me a little tiny again. We're all plugged in. Gloves are plugged in. Battery pack into suit. Boom. Battery pack into pocket. Am I on the right Wi-Fi? No. Oh, I am on the right Wi-Fi. And there I am. So obviously this looks incorrect, and that is because we have not done a calibration. So, okay, now we need our frickin', well, no, let's do a calibration. So we just do a straight pose. This is the only calibration we need to do. And we are ready to go. Again, you know, when people say, I get terrible mocap and the suit doesn't work, something's wrong, because the suit can work. And this is like typical, this is what you should be getting. And I'm surrounded by metal. You know, the firmware updates we've done in the last few years, really make it much more resistant to magnetic interference. It's so much less now. It can still be susceptible, but it really looks good. And so here you can see these are some of the issues that you run into when you have inertial motion capture, right? you might get some weird stuff like this, and that's the problem the coil will solve. Now, again, I think the suit is great on its own. It actually seems a little laggy today. Oh, these hands are jacked up. What's going on? Something weird is going on. Hold on. Maybe this suit. No. Let's do another cow, because it never hurts. Oh, I think I might be using gloves with the wrong firmware for coil. But anyway, this will be good enough, because what we're really talking about today is hand mocap, right? That is what we are getting into. So this is the gloves, right? This actually looks, I think, quite good, right? This looks good, but it is possible, as people have been saying, to get that kind of like kinked look to your fingers. But this one at least looks quite good. And again, when I'm doing my calibration pose, I'm having my hand be flat with my thumb lying outside it. So there, you can see this, like this looks a little weird, right? That doesn't look quite right. Although it might actually be right, it doesn't look quite right. And again, that is in part because everyone's hands are just so different. The hands in particular, really different between people, and the way that they are built, and the way that the dimensions of them. And so that's why you can get a slight kink or something, right? But again, it doesn't actually matter for the motion capture. The mocap data is going to be solid even if the feedback isn't really correct. And we're going to go through that process right now. But, you know, before we do that, let's just go in. Let's try and actually live stream to our character. So before we do that, of course, we got to redo our T-pose. So let's quickly redo our T-pose. We're going to go do this again. Speed round this time. Meshes, Twin Blast BP. This is the blast that we made. And again, this project file is for free. It's in the description below. Download it, use it for whatever you want. Yeah, here's the pose asset that didn't get saved. Awesome. So forget that pose asset. Let's go back to the skeleton. I'm going to do this on triple speed because I just want to. I'm turning snapping back on. Let's do that. Then let's go get the upper arm. Then let's rotate. Then let's come out a little bit so we can see these fellows. Then let's rotate the lower arms. I think it's 30 degrees. Yep, 30 degrees. Let's rotate. Ooh, where are you? This lower arm too. 30 degrees. 1, 2, 3. Let's come back and let's fix the legs. Scroll down to those leggies. I'm going to turn snapping off. I'm going to rotate the legs in. I'm going to make sure that they are more T-pose-ish and not as spread. No man spreading here. Turn the leg a little bit, not too much. You don't want it too much because that'll offset it the wrong way. Then it'll be worse the wrong way. There we go. That looks pretty good. Then we got to go, and remember, we got to fix these fingies. We got to get these fingers lying flat. The way we're going to do that is we're going to go to the proximal joint, index 01, middle 01 of all the fingers. We're going to zero them out. Zero out them fingies. Boom. 0, 0, 0. Boom. 0, 0, 0. Boom. 0, 0, 0. And we're doing the same for the thumb. Normally I don't do that, but we're going to see what happens. And we can always come in and fix that if we need to. Do the same thing for that left side, right? Zero them out. Middle 01. Zero it out. Pinky 01. Zero it out. Ring 01. Don't know why I just went black. zero it out. Thumb 01, zero it out. We got a great T-pose here, looks awesome. We're gonna go to create asset, create pose asset, current pose, go back to the content folder. I'm gonna call this 02 because I feel like, knowing Unreal, it's probably saved, burned the other one into the memory somewhere and it's being all weird. Connection's taking a little bit of a dip, but hopefully everyone followed that. Save it. You can see the name is now pose 1. Remember, if we increase this, it goes up. But what we're gonna do, save, go back to our blueprint, go back to the content level, drag in our pose asset, convert to pose by name, reselect it. Remember the pose name is now pose_1. Add it in, compile, save it. Done. Looking great. Okay. We are now ready to do some mocap. So we already have our Rokoko receiver in the scene. It's set to port 14043. We're going to go back to Rokoko. Here I am. We're going to turn on live streaming, activate. I'm going to remember the little hack because there's this bug in Rokoko Studio for live streaming. I like to make my window quite small. And you can see how much faster maybe it is. It's like super fast now. And guess what we're going to do? Oh, first we're going to go to Window, Virtual Production, Live Link. Make sure we got a tight, we got our source in there. Hit play. Look what we got. Look what we got. We got a twin blast. We got a twin blast. F1, r.streaming.pool size space 40, up, 4096. Make sure those textures are looking good. And we are looking good. So that thumb actually looks right. So zeroed out is the right way to do it. You just zero these guys out and it looks awesome. Again, I don't know why there's a weird offset. No, so it's not. Okay, so let's say, I think the fingers all look good. These look awesome, right? But we do have to fix this thumb because you can see it looks pretty weird, right? That's not correct. It's semi-correct. It's got the right position, but it's got the incorrect rotation. You can see my thumb is folded flat against my palm here. Whereas in Unreal, it's the left side of the thumb. So how do we fix that? Well, we got to create a new pose asset. Let's cancel out. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back into our pose asset. We're going to increase the pose to 1. And then we're going to go in and we're going to fix this thumb. Oh, sorry. Well, let's select the thumb and hit F. So yeah, I think this was basically, it did need to be more like this. And this is how it normally kind of looks. But let's try that. So you see, so here, maybe you can, hopefully you can see the difference here. But thumb like that versus how it was, which was laying flat. And it turns out in this case, in this character's case, we don't want it to lay flat because it looks weird. Now, for some characters, it actually will look better flat. It really just depends on the character. And this is a little bit of like, you know, trial and error to get this going. Again, we're going to create a new pose from current pose. Save it. You know, call it 03. Pose _2, right? So now we need to go back into that Paragon, Blueprint, Heroes, Twin Blast, Meshes, Blueprint. Hello, hello. You can see me in that thing. And we need to drag in the new pose asset, right? convert to pose by name, pose _2, wire that in instead, compile, save. Thumb is fixed. So you can see how important those initial poses can be to fix errors that you have in retargeting. Because again, no matter how good the mocap is, sometimes you will just need to, for certain characters, change them. So actually, and even look at this. So I don't like that pinky. I actually think everything is a little kinked out. It's kind of true for that character. And this may or may not be happening on my smart suit in Rokoko Studio. Let's see. So it kind of is. Like, see how that pinky is weird? Like, so that's probably because maybe I did a bad calibration, but also like my fingers, this is kind of how they calibrate. And it's not going to affect the mocap data, but I do need to make sure to account for that kinking. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to go back and we're going to create a new pose asset, right? And we're going to play around with these fingers. So let's, in this case, I think they basically all need to be kinked out a little bit to the left. So we're going to go find this guy. We're just going to eyeball it. Boom. Boom. Middle a little bit. Index a little bit. We do the same thing for the other hand. Start with the pinky. A little bit over. Line them up. A little bit over. A little bit over. And sometimes this is also because of like the way that the palm is kind of set up on the character. But now we're going to, guess what we're going to do? Create a new pose asset. Call it 04. It's called pose _3. Guess where we're going? Going back to that blueprint. Guess what we're doing? We're adding in the new pose asset. Convert to pose by name. Pose _3. And this is just a little bit of the game of motion capture. And again, we're working on making the gloves not do that with things like physics filters and things like that. But once we save, I mean, that looks perfect. So we did need to change something, but man, I mean, look at how good that looks, in my opinion. And again, these are free characters. I'm gonna have to do a new calibration pose because I haven't done one in a while. But man, something's definitely weird with my suit needs a restart or something. There's something bizarre, but man, look at that. It looks really good. Let's go to Rokoko Studio. Let's do a quick calibration. So this is what the coil is going to fix. The coil will fix problems like that. Again, I don't know why it's going into my body so much right now. I think it's because I'm having a bad magnetic day in this very tiny office, which is like not ideal. But look at that. It looks pretty darn good to me. Hold those glasses. hold the glass. Let's drink the coffee. Yeah, right. Again, this is why, you know, for live streaming, the coil will be so good because my hand would actually be at my mouth instead of in my neck. This can it's a minor fix with mocap editing. For a lot of the times, if I'm doing motions like this, you know, maybe I don't need to fix them. Yeah, don't need to fix that take, right? But for takes, I might need to fix other takes. And again, I don't know why it's so. Ooh, look at that! Look at that wriggle. Look at that wriggle. Okay, I think the last thing we'll do is just set up a little camera that looks cool. No, the Coil Pro is definitely not on. Coil Pro is not on. Yeah, this is what the coil would solve, right? The pre-order price of the coil is $16.95, and the retail price, I believe, is going to be $2K. So that's why it's like it's expensive, right? And it will make a huge difference. Does everyone need it? Certainly not. And certainly not. It's like, and I really don't like the narrative that the coil is making the smart suit what it is supposed to be, and that it's like you're charging for a service that should have always been there. No, because the smart suit is $2,000 cheaper than it would be if we integrated this technology into the smart suit. Like, there's a very good reason. It's not as accurate. The smart suit isn't as accurate as the coil, but it's $2,000 cheaper. So it's like, there are always trade-offs with price. That's how it works. That's how any product works. What do you need? What trade-off are you willing to make? The coil will fix clipping into the body. Yeah, it would. You know, if you're using it right and everything. Yeah, the coil will fix clipping into the body. The coil, you can do things like this, and it's clapping perfectly. But I do want to set up a quick. Let's just set up a quick little cam. I want to set up a quick little, you know, shallow depth of field camera. And I want to have a shallow short depth of field, like a dat. So I can go and focus on the hand real close and have everything else be blurry so it looks cool. Yeah. Let's increase the aperture a little bit so it's a little not as blurry. Then we hit play. Then we hit export. Now we're in the camera. Oh, okay. Okay, and now I want to set it up. Okay, look at that. Look at that gorgeous hand motion capture. Looks pretty good. Looks so good. Shaka bra, shaka bra. You. I see you. I see all of you. Why? Oh. Oh, why? Oh, why? Oh, please. Ooh, this looks good. And I mean, that again, this looks good. Like this character's thumb is crazy long. It reaches all the way to the edge of the palm, like mine does not. So that's where you get problems with retargeting, right? This character has different proportions than me. So even if my mocap is perfect, there's always going to be an element of fixing some of those discrepancies that exist between my body proportions and the character's body proportions. And that's why it's really important to learn how to do some quick little mocap editing, like or even pose editing for your initial rest pose for your character, like we did in this stream, to fix things like weird thumbs or offset fingers or other problems you run into. And that's just kind of a part of motion capture. There's always going to be this issue of translation between your body, the motion capture avatar, and then the character itself. They all have different proportions, kind of. I mean, come on, it's the first thing everyone does. Fuck you. So it looks like even like I could go in and maybe change some of it looks like the middle finger could be a little bit straighter, and like that is something that, again, we can fix in the initial pose. Well, that looks pretty good. Okay, I think we're gonna call it there, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. This was super fun. As I said before, we have the free project file in the description below. Absolute metaverse material, but not meta bullshit. I know, it's pretty cool. It's pretty darn cool. Should we do a quick VTuber setup? Let's do a quick VTuber setup. Let's hit pause. Let's add that basic. You know what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna cheat my way into it. That plane. Reset it. What are we gonna do? We're gonna make a material that is green. We're gonna add a constant 3 vector, which is just 3 values into the base color and 3 values between 0 and 360. Guess what it gets you? It gets a color. So we need to get a little of that color right here. Green, boom. Apply, save. Make it really big, as Pedro Pascal might say, really big. Oh. Let's make it green. Hello. How about this? Let's add let's get real complicated here. I'm gonna add a new thing to my OBS, a new window, a new display capture, because I'm porting it in. No, sorry, no. I need a new, hold on. Let's duplicate this. Canon utility. Okay, and then on this one, we need to add a little filter. And we're going to add a color key. Nope. Color key, not color correction. Chroma key. Green. Look. Boom. We could make it a little bit. A little bit like that. Yo, I'm just a little live streaming gamer. Yo, what's up everyone? Hey, welcome to our stream. Here we are, we're gonna play some games, we're gonna do some things. Let's actually, come on, we need better focus. Well, let me tell you what I really think about this. You know, so this is like a great little, live streaming workflow. If you want to be a little VTuber. I mean, this is, I love that he doesn't have a face, so you don't need to worry about any talking. And you can just be like, yeah, slam that subscribe button, hit that like button, and we'll see you in the next video. Yes, it is amazing how much hands add, how much emotion, how much we do with our hands. It's just, it really adds so much. We tap them, we get so many things about how we're feeling from our hands. Boink. No. I gotta do an itch. I gotta itch my nose. Itch. See, that's what the coil would fix, essentially. No, that will not work. Because again, it's inertial motion capture. If I put my hands together, look, that's what we get. They're not together. And that's because my character's proportions are different than mine. Mainly, this guy's arms, he's like a cyber ninja with super muscly big arms, and I'm not. And so if I'm like this, his arms are whatever, 8 inches longer than mine. They're not gonna be right. Now with the coil, it'll happen less because you're also seeing this in Rokoko Studio. This is just a part of inertial motion capture. So it's happening on my character too. So the coil would make it so that it was like this. You know, which is nice, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Anyway, free project file in the description. You can see the coil in action. We just put up the cursor test a little while ago. It's for pre-order, so we are still mainly finishing basically the sensor fusion between the suit as it is and the new EMF technology, which will allow you to transition between the EMF sensors in your gloves and the normal sensors in your suit, which means you'll be able to leave the sphere of influence of the coil. So that's kind of what we're polishing. And that's why I've been a little resistant to do it live, because while I've been getting great results, like I have a prototype that like has a like a power unit that was made in-house by 3 months ago that's like falling apart. And so when I get a proper unit, we're probably going to do some more live stuff, which should be in the next 2 weeks or so, 2 or 3 weeks. Anyway, we're going to call it there. Thanks for tuning in to my session. I need to start a channel with this guy. He's so spicy. Just come. He's very Deadpool-y. Okay. Yes. Pre-order is cheaper. Yeah, that's how it always works, because you're essentially taking a risk on a product that isn't, well, you can always cancel your pre-order, but it gets you in line to get one of the products. We're going to have, I think we have, I don't want to say a number, but we're going to run out of them. So the pre-orders will get them sooner, and they'll get a better price. But anyway. Okay, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. See you next week. This was fun. Very long one. See you next time. Bye. See y'all.